guys, this is Tarot with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and today is day 4 of the hashtag 31 Days of Tarot put on by the one and only Ethany. So I have a link to her website down below. Through her website you could check out her blog. She also does really awesome readings. She has an oracle deck and a book getting published, so definitely go check her out. So today's prompt is, what were my top 5 tarot books of 2017. I never went out and personally just like bought a book specifically for tarot, so I really appreciate a lot of the work that goes into some of the guidebooks. So I have chosen my top 5 guidebooks since, you know, I can use them not only with the deck that it was intended for, but I use it for all of my decks. Let's look at that. So my first guidebook for 2017 is the Steampunk Tarot. I didn't get the Steampunk Tarot in 2017, however, I did heavily use the guidebook for this, so you can tell it's a it's a big chunky book, like it is a tarot book. But I just really like the you know, the quotes that are given, some of the core meanings. It really goes into some information about the suit, whatever it may be, and it's usually like a couple of pages worth, you know, as well as a giant image of the card. There are some spreads and things that you have at the back of the guidebook, sample readings, things like that, but I just find this to be really interesting, a really different take on I'd say the Rider-Waite formulae of tarot cards. So and I like that. I like being able to see different points of view, get different keywords, different meanings, just a different angle, different way of looking at the card, kind of like the Hangman version, you know, for tarot cards. I highly recommend the Steampunk Tarot, or if you can, just get the tarot book because I find it very helpful. And Steampunk Tarot, I believe, was one of the first few decks that I got, so it was interesting because I worked with the deck and then I didn't really work with the guidebook, and now I'm like taking a look at the guidebook and I'm like, wow, you know, this is really helpful. And this really, you know, it just brings out a different flavor for my readings. Book number 2 is Tales of the Mystical Cats. So I own the Mystical Cats Tarot, and this guidebook, again, a decent sized book, and I do keep it in my bookcase. In here, let's see, you have, you know, the translated versions of the cards, like let's see, the Magician is cat magic and things like that, so just little things like that. And then okay, so let's say the Chariot. It gives you a picture of the card. Up here it gives you kind of a brief synopsis of the card, and then the cat's advice, so kind of from a feline point of view, me being a cat person, that really works. And then what to do if the card is reversed, but again, you know, and it does that all the way through all the different types of cards. And then at the back, of course, we have a lot of really unusual and awesome types of spreads. Some original sketchings of the cards, which I think is interesting, you know, because again, that's another take on the tarot, and this being from a more animal-friendly, feline, mystical perspective is going to be different than, you know, your Steampunk Tarot. And so yeah, I just like diving into these big meaty guidebooks that have so much to offer. You know, they are a great complement to the decks that they, you know, come with. However, I think that they're just good in general to have within your bookcase and just kind of whip it out. And it doesn't matter if, let's say, I'm reading with the Wild Unknown and I want to bust out the Steampunk Tarot. How could I try to adapt this to the Wild Unknown? And yes, the Wild Unknown has its own awesome book, but you know, what happens if you mix up these different flavors? And I think I'm alluding to cooking because it's lunchtime and I'm quite hungry right now. The next guidebook is the Sasuraibito Tarot. A beautiful deck, yes, I love using it, but the interpretation of the cards here, as well as a quote that accompanies each of the cards. I love quotes. Okay, as an English teacher, I love quotes, I love poetry, I love all that nerdy stuff. And so I like being able to have that. It's almost reminiscent of the Art of Life Tarot, where there's a piece of artwork and then there is an accompanying quote. This is kind of like that, but a more kind of youthful way. And again, another perspective, another flavor to add into the mix. Okay, I think I'm going in order of the size of my guidebooks because now they're getting smaller. The next little guidebook that I love is my Santa Muerte guidebook. So this is by Fabio Lestrani. Oops, it would help if I got to the English section. Okay, so let's say we got the we're in the Pentacles, and let's say we got the Three of Pentacles. There's an interesting little section on that. Let's say it says the first benefits or fruits of what may have we have invested or sown the seeds for have begun to arrive. 3, a particularly active number combined with Pentacles brings a powerful expansion and a positive outcome where pervasiveness is completely repaid. Or perseverance, sorry, persuasiveness. Perseverance is completely repaid. Only haste or a certain immaturity in management could bring about problems, weakening, incompatibility, or disagreement. And then it has Advice of the Dead, which is, again, an interesting take. I know it goes with this deck, but you know, you could apply it to your other decks. It says, persevere without hesitation towards that in which you are placing all your physical and economic reserves without letting anyone trample on your harvest. So just some really good advice from the dead. And then it gives you, you know, kind of the general census of like what is Pentacles and money and you know, material world and things like that. So I find that very interesting. And then at yeah, and then at the very front, it tells you a little bit about the Santa Muerte Tarot itself, kind of like how it was built and, you know, artistically, and what symbolism is in there. And then I can kind of take that and maybe, you know, project some of that symbolism onto my other cards, and then I have a whole new way of looking at things, a whole new meaning. So I think that this was very helpful also in my tarot journey. The very last one is the Hermetic Tarot. So I got this one with the moon box, which is now called the Witch's Moon. And although it's a quote-unquote little white book, it's very, very deep. You know, it goes into symbolism and numerology and esotericism and esotericism. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Like I literally went on a really long run today, and I'm like all kinds of weak and wobbly, and why I'm all in my sports clothes. So yeah, I just got back. I'm a little tired and I'm hungry, as you guys can see. So let's say we get the Fool. Now, how can we apply this to some of our other readings? This is the Foolish Man, the Spirit of Ether, Aleph, Ox, Pluto. Okay, so there's some interesting elements now being added into that card. The sun indicates a bright spring morning. The two-part triangle in the upper right of the card represents air. The symbol of Pluto appears in the midst. The mist to the front of the man. The foolish man stands with his worldly belongings at the edge of a precipice, ignorant of the lashing waves, and the crocodile with open jaws. The foolish man holds in his right hand the rose of joy, signifying perfect innocence, and he holds a fierce wolf in check by a leash. Behind him sprouts the flower of silence. The higher significance of this card suggests that the foolish man's perfect innocence is holding the wolf. Thus, the anger of the worldly wisdom is held in check by perfect innocence. And then it gives some like one-word meanings, what it might mean reversed. It, you know, again has some numerology and some elemental meanings. It's just, I don't know, I don't work with the deck itself much, but I do like the guidebook, and I like how I've been able to apply the guidebook to a lot of my different readings. Alright, so that's it, you guys. I'm gonna go have lunch right now. I'm gonna get myself cleaned up and put away all my Yule and Christmas decorations today because we have some friends coming over tomorrow. Alright, so I am thoroughly enjoying this, and I'm enjoying watching everybody's videos. It's a beautiful sunny day, which is why I wanted to come outside. And yeah, so if you guys dug this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to click subscribe. Don't forget to click that notification bell for more videos just like this. And if you want to catch a reading with me, click on that information box down below. Plus, if you want to hang out on social media, I'd love that too. Alright, so that's it from me, spiritual homies. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace out.